The very first day, I held the keys to my mountain house before I even had a chance to breathe in the dusty air of my new place. A woman blocked my gate and shouted that the house wasn't mine at all. It belonged to the community, and I was nothing but a thief stealing what was promised to her parents. I stood there with the keys still warm in my palm, stunned, trying to process how a stranger could look me dead in the eye and claim my legally purchased property as if I had stumbled into her living room. That moment was the spark, and I had no idea it would spiral into a nightmare of forged programs, fake authority, and criminal sabotage designed to strip me of everything I'd worked for. I'm Noah Turner, freelance documentary filmmaker. After years chasing chaotic stories around the world, I wanted peace, silence, a place where I could set up an editing studio and finally work without distractions. This mountain house was perfect abandoned for years, sitting on 2 acres of pine trees, isolated but steady in its bones. Sure, it needed repairs, foundation work, wiring, plumbing. But the view of the valley from those huge windows made it worth every dollar. The first afternoon, I installed security cameras around the perimeter habit from my work. I've learned that documenting everything is the only way to survive when the story gets messy. And that habit. It probably saved me. The sun was sliding down behind the trees when I heard the low rumble of a van, white with decals that looked official if you didn't know better. It parked squarely in front of my gate, blocking the entrance headlights aimed directly at my cameras to blind the sensors. My gut told me right away this wasn't casual. Out stepped a woman in a blazer, a badge pinned on her chest, HOA compliance chair. She smiled, that politician's smile, the one that says she's already decided how this will end. "You must be the new owner," she said smoothly. "I'm Darlene Pierce. We need to talk about your property's role in the state partnership program." Her words rolled out like she'd rehearsed them in front of a mirror, QR codes, government logos, legal jargon sprinkled everywhere. She told me the house was part of a compassion zoning pilot program, and that her elderly parents were slated to move in under federal emergency housing regulations. Then she hit me with the moral hammer. "You don't want to be the heartless one who denies care to vulnerable seniors, do you?" I kept my face neutral, scanning her documents with my phone. Everything looked polished, but something felt off. I've spent years interviewing politicians and executives, watching them twist words and pull emotional levers. This was the same game authority without verification urgency, without proof. My instincts screamed fraud. Still, a seed of doubt crept in. What if I was wrong? What if refusing her meant I'd look like a monster on social media, the villain who tossed sick old folks into the cold? That night, I couldn't sleep. The so-called blanket box she'd left at my gate sat there like bait, daring me to open it. My mind spun if this was real. Why wasn't there paperwork from the county? Why did it feel staged down to the timing at sunset? I finally sent the QR code to the county office. 10 minutes later, the clerk called back, baffled. The domain was a Gmail account created just weeks ago. No government program, no federal partnership, nothing. It was all smoke and mirrors. The relief should have settled me, but instead it made me angrier. If she was willing to forge entire programs, what else was she capable of? The answer came fast. The next morning, a massive vinyl banner was strung across my gate. State Compassion Zone. Looked official enough to fool anyone driving by. My cameras caught a figure sneaking around at 2 a.m. Flashlight in hand, stacking lumber right next to my electrical meter, deliberate, dangerous. Minutes later, the fire department rolled up, tipped off by a mysterious call about a fire hazard. That's when it hit me. Someone wasn't just lying. Someone was actively trying to sabotage me. Standing there as the inspector photographed the staged fire trap, I felt a crushing weight. This wasn't just HOA nonsense anymore, it was calculated harassment. I caught myself whispering, maybe I should just walk away. Maybe it's not worth it. For the first time, I actually considered giving up selling escaping before the nightmare swallowed me. But then I looked at the footage again, the turquoise paint smeared on the gloves, the same hands that had planted evidence and trespassed on my land. That wasn't bureaucracy. That was crime. And if there's one thing I know as a filmmaker, it's that evidence doesn't lie. So I doubled down. I documented every second, every footprint, every forged banner. I called Deputy Grant Dawson from the sheriff's office. His tone was sharp. Government impersonation is federal. Property sabotage is felony. You're dealing with more than an annoying neighbor, Noah. His words lit a fire in me. If I had been doubting before now, I knew I had to fight. Darlene didn't slow down. She came back with a man in a reflective vest carrying thick folders of stamped papers. Emergency elder access overrides county rules, she announced like she was unveiling divine law. I put her on speakerphone with county planning right then and there. Janice Miller, 20 years on the job, didn't even hesitate. HOAs have no power over county drainage or emergency management. None. The look on Darlene's face cracked for the first time, but she recovered with a sneer. It was all unraveling, and she knew it. The breaking point came when my real estate agent called me panic in his voice. Noah, the virtual tour. Your old security code was visible in a reflection. My blood ran cold. That explained everything. The break-ins, the shifted papers, the device named Pierce's iPhone connecting to my Wi-Fi when I wasn't home. She had been inside my house again and again, using a code stolen from a damn photo. That's not HOA drama. That's felony trespass. I turned all of it over, footage, paint samples, network logs. Grant studied the files like a prosecutor building charges. This isn't nuisance anymore, he said firmly. This is organized deception. Federal time. And he was right. Darlene's scheme wasn't just about me. Volunteers from the community came forward ashamed, admitting she'd recruited them with fake IDs, convinced them they were part of a government program. They had unknowingly spied on their neighbors, handing her information about property layouts and family routines. The con was wide, deep, manipulative. And the community finally woke up furious. The day of the emergency HOA meeting, the room was packed. 23 residents, county officials, even Darlene's own parents who looked broken and bewildered. Her father's voice cut the air. We never asked for this. We never approved anything done in our names. That silence afterward was heavier than any accusation. Everyone realized Darlene hadn't just lied to us. She had exploited her own family. Elder abuse, identity theft stacked on top of everything else. One by one, neighbors stood and told their stories. Fake programs, forged letters, trespass, harassment. Voices rising, demanding action. By the end, the HOA board had no choice. The vote was unanimous. Darlene was stripped of her role, banned from any position of authority, and referred directly to law enforcement. Within weeks, prosecutors at every level took over federal for government impersonation and wire fraud, state for property crimes, county for false reporting. The evidence was overwhelming: the banners, the forged documents, the surveillance footage of those turquoise gloves. Guilty on all counts. She went down hard, not as an annoying neighbor, but as a criminal who tried to hijack an entire community. And I stood there, not triumphant, not celebrating, just steady. Because justice had landed where it needed to. My property, my sanity, my name, all dragged through months of deceit, were finally secure again. The truth is, simple lies can wear a badge, carry a clipboard, even print themselves on banners. But the moment you document, verify, and refuse to back down, the mask cracks. And when it cracks, the whole house of cards comes down.